Hello there, Joe Barnes here, and welcome back to another episode of Make It Happen Monday. I hope that you've had an absolutely fantastic week and have been taking lots of action and making things happen. This week, I want to talk about why the Lego movie is the best piece of marketing I've ever seen, and I'm laughing at myself as I say that. The reason is because the Lego movie came out in 2014 and I'm talking about it now in 2016. But I did say in a previous video that I wasn't the sharpest tool in the box, so I'm only a year or so behind everybody else. But anyway, it's beside the point. It's incredibly relevant to my point this week. I'm just laughing at myself, I'm sorry. But anyway, the Lego movie, did you see it? It was a great movie a year and a half ago. It really was a good movie. But the reason it was the greatest marketing tool I've ever seen is obvious, isn't it? It's because they took their product and they turned it into a film. Yeah, so genius. I mean, it is genius, really, when you think about it. All the kids sitting there watching this whole film, fires the imagination, off they go. Mummy, daddy, I want Lego, I want Lego, I want this character, this city, that town, so that I can go home and play with it and make up all these fantastic stories like I saw in the film. Absolutely brilliant. The crux of that message, though, is that they turn their product into a story. Okay? They took their brand and they created a story. And who doesn't love a good story? I mean, I've learned so much of my history through film. I've seen Braveheart. I know all about William Wallace. I've seen First Night. I know all about King Arthur. Well, that's more legend, isn't it, than history. But anyway, all my education in life has been through film. No, but the fact is what's film? It's a great medium, isn't it? Because it's a story. It's why people love reality shows so much. Because they're turning real life, everyday, mundane, boring old life into quite exciting stories. And if you think about it, in our life, we all have stories. We all like to go out with our friends and have a gossip over a cup of tea or whatever. And how often does something that's happened to us turn into a story? Oh, I was sitting in the traffic today and I saw this guy overtake this guy, and then this guy came out and then they had a big argument and this all happened, and it all unfolds into this lovely big story that you're telling your friend. Because we just love it. We all love a good story. So how does this translate into our business? That's the most important thing here. Well, what's your story? What is the story behind your business? Because if you're just going out there with your brand and giving factual information and kind of, out there just telling people how things are, that's okay. But if you really want your audience to resonate, connect, engage, get involved with you, then you want a really good story. So as an example, my story is that I am a 40-something, very normal, average, everyday mum and partner and business owner, and that I decided 6 or 7 years ago that I wanted to run a business that I could manage from anywhere in the world. And so therefore, since then, I have been traveling, and I've lived in Southeast Asia, I've lived in Australia, I've lived in Europe, and we've basically traveled around the world, being able to work from wherever we lay our hat, basically. And that's my story. And so when I now publish photos with living the online lifestyle, and I tell people about my travels, and I talk about where we've landed now and what we're doing next and all the rest of it, people are interested in that. They're interested in that story, the story of travel and the different places that I visit and where I go and how I work while I'm there and all that kind of stuff, yeah? Which then gets them interested in me, my brand, my business, what I'm doing, and then they get to how can I help them, yeah? Then there's the technical posts and the courses and the training and the education and all the rest of it to help them to be able to live a similar story, a story of freedom. Yeah, get it? Okay. Starring Joe Barnes. Anyway, so what's your story? And that's your challenge for this week, should you choose to accept it. I want you to think about what your story is. What's the story of your brand? What's the story of your product, your service, you, the person behind the brand? And don't just make it up. Just think about how you can take what you've done so far, your experiences, yeah, how you came up with your brand, how you came up with your product or service, why you decided to go in that particular direction with your business, yeah, and what's the story behind it. And if you're not that impressed with the journey to it, then start thinking forward. Start thinking of what you want your story to be. What's your business going to be? What's the brand? Why are you doing that business? What's the why behind your doing it? Maybe that's your story, your mission behind why you've picked that particular business, okay? So your story can come from many different angles. It can be all about who you're helping and why you want to help them. It can be all about why you decided to go into that particular business or niche. It can all about how you've come to be at this point in your life. Many different angles your story can come from. But the fact of the matter is you need to find your story and then create your brand and everything around that story. So I hope that this has been super useful to you. The first thing I'd really like you to do right now is go down to the comments and tell me, what's your story? Tell me in just a couple of paragraphs, who are you? Who's your brand? Why have you done what you're doing? How have you got to where you are now? What's the story behind your brand? I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Also, please share this week's post if you think it's been useful to you. And of course, subscribe for regular updates and lots of other goodies that I send my email subscribers. Just hit the button below this video. Other than that, live on purpose this week and make it happen. Thank you so much for watching. See you again next week. Bye-bye.